solar farm, the increase in traffic and the noise, whether it's building or not, I drive back and forth on Swan Road every day and I see what's going on. It will most certainly prohibit this for him, mostly due to multi-sensory difficulty. Aside from my concerns about the safety of these plants, which has been brought to your attention repeatedly, I find them to be an extremely visual eyesore, and the fact they'll be directly across from my home upsets us greatly. It has also been brought to my attention that many of the residents of the Moore and Swan Road facilities raised major concerns about these projects. However, their words fell upon deaf ears. The residents of Williams Road were not notified of this project until Mr. Piva, who has, I thought, for years been a great neighbor, alluded to the fact that his solar farm was going up, paperwork has already been signed, and now is the time to sell because of the change in the landscape. It's funny that if you look back at the minutes from previous meetings, Mr. Piva was also very concerned about the solar invasion on Swan Road. I wonder what was offered to change his mind. Well, we all know what that is. Jason and I have both known many of you on the board for a long time. Mr. Guyban, once again, my high school social studies teacher. I want to ask you a question. Would your daughters want this across from their home? Al Bax, fellow classmate as well. Would your wife and children want to look out their bedroom windows facing this solar plant? I ask you to think about this tonight. Mr. Broderick, same questions. Why can't these solar farms be erected in areas without a high concentration of homes? Although Williams Road is a short road, we do have many families. Many of us on Williams Road have put a great deal of money into our property and take great pride, like Jason said, in what we've built for our family. As I drive down Swan Road and look at the one being erected, I see beautiful land with panels. With the possible approval of this industrial plant, I strongly feel that I'll be forced to abandon the home and property that my children dearly love. The only place we might be safe is in the village. I strongly oppose this solar plant and leave you with one final question. If this goes through, which one of you would like to buy my home with its new full front view of this solar plant? Please think about this tonight.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Yes? Please state your name.
My name is Sherry Leggett. I live on Moore Road, at 2700 Moore Road, directly across from the new solar project that's going up. The one question I wanted to ask, the map that you have here, like we had in January for our project, can they make changes to that between the time you put this here and they start construction?
You mean this particular one? I mean, if we issue the special use permit, there can be some restrictions or some qualifications.
Well, the reason I'm asking, when we were here, the driveway was located in a different spot in our map because I brought it up at the time. The current driveway was directly across from mine. When they started construction, they used that driveway. They did not install the new driveway that was on the plan. And I had concerns about property damage at the time, and I have had property damage. I've had a semi in my front yard because it pulled in to try and back in. So I'm just asking, because Williams Road is very similar to our road in size and the amount of houses. Are there driveways and everything that are on this plan going to stay where you are showing them they currently are?
Mark, I know you're not the Moore Road project, so.
Yeah, for this particular site, we have very limited opportunity to locate a driveway here because the access, once you get past the wooded area, the access is very limited. This driveway, there's an existing laneway there now that we originally had the driveway going over. Because of the concerns from the people across the road, they asked for some changes, which we think we did a good job trying to accommodate them, and we added tree screening. The trees are conifers, just like Swan Road. We'll have 2 rows of conifers. They'll be planted at about a 7 to 8 foot height when they're initially planted, and they're expected to grow 1 to 2 feet per year. And the projection out is that in 5 to 7 years, there'll be 99% screening this facility. There won't be any gaps in it because these are typically are good growing trees 1 to 2 feet a year. Their spreads are upwards of 20 feet or more, and they're planted at 12 feet on center, but they're staggered one row to the other.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that the plan was changed from what we saw here that night to what they built. And there were problems with my property because of it.
I'm not familiar with the site that you're.
So I just want the Williams Road people to, like, if it's gonna change, notification, something, because we got nothing.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Well,
Oh, go ahead, Candy.
Yeah, my name's Candy Grabowski, I live on Williams. And the question I have is if they're gonna put all these trees up to cover these solar panels by Mr. Masters, why didn't they do that last year before they started? Why would you wait and get everybody upset and, like, you have no consideration for the neighbors? I feel terrible for Sonoyans to look at that all day long in those 3 beautiful homes. It's sinful, sinful.
Mark, when are those gonna be planted on Williams
I
Road?
believe on Williams Road, they're anticipated to be planted at the end of the project. That's typically when it happens. But what we're calling for on this project, and it's in the stormwater pollution prevention plan, is that the trees out at Williams Road be planted first, right after the driveway goes in. That was one of the concerns that was brought forth, that they don't want to see the construction. And of course, this is oriented a little differently. There's not a lot of frontage, not a lot of area opportunity for the frontage to see the site. But we did agree to plant the trees along Williams Road prior to the start of construction.
I understand that, but what, the road and the trees on Swan, I mean, I drive by there every day, that is the biggest eyesore. It looks like some sci-fi movie. I mean, it looks terrible.
Well, I sympathize with you because construction is always it appears very chaotic, but it is a methodical process that it goes through.
But the trees, if they would have been planted before the project started, would already be maybe 10 feet, because you said they go 3 feet.
Well,
or
1 to 2 feet a year.
But I'm saying, you would have had that covered, and you wouldn't have everybody screaming about everything, because I mean, I understand why they're doing it. I have no problem with solar energy, but when you're taking out neighborhood like this, I mean, it's, you know, my grandkids go by and they're like, what is that, you know? And I'm like, it's a solar farm, and everybody's like, it's like a sci-fi thing going on in Ransomville. I mean, it's sinful, sinful.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question
You
as
gotta pop
far,
up, you gotta pop up. It'll make you,
can I speak from here?
yeah.
It's a very simple question. My name is Dave Catlin, I live on Williams Road. I understand this is kind of like a fad or whatnot, you know, we're talking long-term, like 25 years for these things. Is there any bonding or something when Brago is out of business? And
Decommissioning bond.
so they come take these things down and replace the farmland the way it was and we don't have any more eyesore?
So let's say, I know the concern when the Swan Road project was, is what happens if this technology is defunct in 8 years and they've come to bigger, better. We have a decommissioning bond, so if Borrego went belly up
Right.
and left the area gone, you're not looking at a ghost town of a solar farm. We have a decommissioning bond to remove everything off of there.
That
And
was,
there's minimal damage to the property, so I mean, I think if you had a farmer for a couple of years that tilled the property, it's back to where it was before.
okay.
And that's part of the law, our solar law. And again, going back to the last project, and I'll say this project, you know, I don't think anybody up here anticipated the problem with the solar farm that we've seen. We had a solar law, we did a public hearing for a solar law, nobody came. And I understand until it's directly affected you, and we explained this the last time. So I don't think to a man, anybody saw any issues coming. So we created a solar law. We used Wheatfield's solar law, and we kind of manipulated it to be more stringent than Wheatfield. And it wasn't until we actually had a project come before us that the neighbors came and said, wait a minute. So I guess if we would have had some of these issues brought to our attention originally when we created the solar law, we probably would have put limitations. We probably would have done some things differently. So it's something that we as a board need to revisit on the future solar farms. So again, yeah, go ahead.
I think it's important to also mention that we were getting a lot of pressure from New York State, part of the green agenda, that is being pushed down the pike to us. You've heard about in another community where the solar project is even larger, the state has taken over all the control of it. If we didn't have something on the books that would have happened to us too, we could have had the state take away our home rule. So we felt it was necessary for us to come up with a solar project law. And we did, we have side yard, backyards, screening, everything that we thought of based on what was being proposed through New York State. And, obviously, it needs to go back and be fine-tuned again. I think the supervisor has basically alluded to that. We'll probably have to revisit the law and see what we can do. But I do recall very strongly, we were told that that substation could only handle 2 solar farms.
2 or 3.
2 or 3. And now this is making us nervous that more is happening that we're not aware of.
And I know, I don't want anybody to bite my head off, I said this to Jason before. When you look, the first thing I did when I heard about this project, I pulled up a Google map on the location. And I thought, wow, it's completely surrounded by woods, it's farmed in there. And I drove by it and I thought, this is gonna be a great location. Nobody's gonna complain about this location. Well, I was wrong. So, I mean.
From my second story, which is all custom windows, I look right down into that field. So I don't care what trees you put, and Jason's a landscaper, you guys know that. I'm looking right down in that field, so I'm gonna see exactly what you see from Swan Road.
And you know, that's the problem from 104. I mean, we can talk about pine trees on Swan Road, but the reality is when you're up in my farm on top of the hillside, I mean, I can see on clear nights Toronto beautifully over top of the landfill, which is surprising. I mean, the landfill's gotten big, but I can see the skyline of Toronto,
On the
gorgeous.
landfill.
And I'm gonna see the solar panels, whether or not there's 20-foot high pine tree. It ain't gonna make a difference. The likelihood is I can usually see the fields, even PIVA fields, from my property. So it's gonna affect my view shed.
Well,
It makes no difference about
I
trees.
definitely appreciate everybody coming out. Would anybody else like to speak before we close the
I just
public
have one
hearing?
more question for
Sure.
Barago on this plan. Originally on the plan, the staging area, which, you know, I did note when I sent you about moving it. Did you guys move it?
We did not. We put up the trees in front of the staging area, but we're limited on where we can stage it because of the wetlands that are within the project site.
So there's not room behind it? Because here's my concern again, and I see it, I leave the house every morning about 6:15, and there's already trucks lined up on Swan Road waiting to pull in to that site. And like, again, the residents and the kids, their bedrooms are in front there, trucks lined up on Williams Road, right in that staging area that they want to put. That's why I wanted it in a different area, like John said, in the back where, you know, trucks aren't sitting there, air brakes, like it's, you know, just that noise.
I
And
think we could.
and again, Mr. Viva has a lot of property, and again, I'm not opposed to solar energy, I'm not against people doing what they want, but like John said, just if we could do it as more neighborly, and that staging area, there's great screening there right now on that property where that staging area is gonna be. It's gonna be a shame to take that out. You know, would I propose of those trees going in? Yes, but that was on top of, you know, what was already there. And I didn't know they were clearing, you know, trees along that north side,
South
going back in there, the south side of that property.
Yeah, didn't the driveway move like 100 feet or something?
We shifted the
Driveway over.
but it was Jason's request.
Oh,
shifted
it went to
so-
the south.
Request.
We shifted it so when you look down the road, you wouldn't see the solar, like,
It was,
it would have a jog in it, so it would break your
it
sight
went to
line.
the south,
Yeah,
yeah.
but they told us that they were keeping all the frontage there, that nothing was being.
No, that's why I'm
taken out.
asking about that.
The frontage is gonna remain, the
Yeah.
south side is where I
Yeah.
think they're removing trees, which would be toward Mr. Peeves.
Right.
Yeah, Eva's property, that's where, I don't know, it's around about 100 by 300 area of the staging area, something like that, so.
I don't know how we could move the staging area to the back, because come to find out, even though it's tilled farmland, it still met the definition or met the standards for federal wetland. They actually had to go back out there a second time and redelineate it to the satisfaction, redelineate it to the satisfaction of the Corps of Engineers. So,
But you're not putting anything there permanently, so if it's wetlands and you're just putting a staging area, which then you're gonna put back.
right, but
Why?
to ask trucks to drive thousands of feet back off the road to make a delivery on a temporary road, I don't know that it's a realistic request. I think what we're doing here is temporary. It's gonna be during the duration of construction of about 9 months. And then the staging area will be restored back to, it'll be seeded back and allowed to grow back up naturally.
But you're
There are
gonna be
huge trees
removing
there.
some trees out of there.
Those trees are like huge trees, wooded.
We aren't removing any huge trees in the staging area.
It's all shrub, it's
It's
all
all shrub.
shrubs.
And
But I don't understand like why, I mean, they go back, I see on Masters, you know, they go
Way back.
way back to do the delivery, so what's the difference between this
It'd be
one?
easier
There's
for
no
them.
staging area right on Swan Road for Masters,
Right.
it's in
It's
the
off
back.
the road, and we have
And it's in the
room,
back.
we have room to move the trucks around and get them back out.
So there's no room behind it to
I don't know
move
if
it
it's-
back 100 feet? You got the whole length
We
of the
got
property for a staging area.
This whole front
to go with.
area here, this whole front area here is
Yeah, I know that's
wetland.
wetland.
And then the wetlands extend down to the rear of the farmstead. And this is about the only upland area with adequate road
What about
access.
behind it? I'm saying right behind it.
Way back here or
Yeah.
way up here?
No, right behind it.
Sorry,
So like,
north.
why can't you put the
northeast.
staging area behind these woods or behind this property and just shift everything 100 feet?
How is anyone gonna see?
100
We
feet.
can hear everything going on.
I don't
And
think-
not visually
Jason, can you turn that
affected.
so we can see what you're talking about?
What I would think of water, yeah, I can hear them.
So right now, the staging area is gonna be right here,
I got
in front of my whole house.
No,
So
it's
there's
only,
trucks.
it's only back to the tree line here. These are the trees that are going in first. We define staging areas.
My house is from here.
Yeah, I know, this is your driveway.
That's in front of my house.
Right, and we're putting the trees up as you requested it. We're requiring that to be done first.
Right.
So we have the area behind
Still
here
not
that's
gonna do anything
upland.
with the noise during the construction and stuff being dropped off. I'm in construction, I know how much noise it's gonna be. So I'm saying 100 feet difference.
You want us to,
I would either want it back here or back there. You can't shift this 100 feet, so you don't,
You want the staging area in the site of the proposed.
Yeah.
Mark, could you look into it?
Yeah, well, we have asked the team, but we can certainly do that again.
I appreciate it. Okay.
Could you do more than ask? Could you make a concerted effort to move it?
I mean, I'd like to know why, like,
Wouldn't it-
why can't it be?
Wouldn't it be
How are my
easier
kids
for the
gonna
truck
sleep?
drivers though to pull in straight and then turn around at a staging area and pull straight out?
well, that's why we have a staging area up front here.
So they can pull in and turn around right there?
We're
The front lawn?
adequate area to turn around in the staging
Well-
area.
But they can't turn around at Tim's, right, Mr. Masters is?
No.
No,
They
they,
go towards the back and to another area. It definitely can be done.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have the space to do it.
Well,
Thank you.
The very first speaker said that she thinks it should be in industrial spots. My long-term wish, and I doubt if I'll live long enough to see it, is I'd like to see a solar farm, solar project, on the Lake Ontario Ordnance Works when that gets cleaned up. Perfect brownfield, perfect area for it, but I won't be around.
It's a meeting November 13th.
One more question.
Yes.
Not related to this, but the Moore Road project, I know it's not related to theirs. What substation does that belong to?
I don't know, Tim, do you know that?
What's
The
that?
substation, the Moore Road project, what substation is that connected to? Is that connected to the
That's-
one?
That project has a main transmission line right down the middle of the Lori property that they're connecting it.
So is there not a
There's
substation?
a substation, but I think it might be in the town of Wilson.
I don't know. Okay.
Straight with that.
Because if it was connected to the Lewiston, now you're up to 3 connected to the substation. That's my point, I don't know where it belongs.
That's not one of the Swan Road substations.
Let's go to Wilson.
The transmission line goes right directly due north through the middle of that project.
Okay, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
And just to let everybody know, there's gonna be no action taken on that. Okay. Approval